Hey, good morning, everybody. Let me just move this here. Yeah, it's about 9:55 a.m. I have of course, I'm off on Saturdays now, so yeah, and I do right now have the place to myself due to the fact that, well, I'll get into that in a due to the fact I should say that my mom is at a conference right now. It is called think I think it's called AB 212. Yeah, that's what it's called. AB 212. It's something that since she's a preschool teacher, that if you want to have a little extra cash in your pocket, especially during the school year or after the school year or whatever, they hold these conferences every now and then. I think they do them like once or twice a school year. Mainly, the main one that I understand that teachers are required to go to is the first one of the year, which is usually about a month into the school year. So, so yeah, she went to that today, and if my if I'm reading Google Maps right, and the way I feel they may go time wise, because the event, from what I'm understanding, is scheduled between 9 and 4. So my guess would be that between 9 and 4, or not 9 and 4, but my guess is if I read Google Maps right, um, she got to her job area in Livermore about, I'd say, between 7:15 and 7:25, basically about 50 minutes to an hour. She could have made it there by 7:10, traffic depending, because she's got to go on the Altamont heading towards the Bay Area. And then she's riding with friends, fellow teachers, over to San Jose where the event is at. And that takes another 30 something minutes to do, or yeah, 30 to 35, 40 minutes to do. Again, traffic depending on, on that status. They should be there in plenty of time before the event happens. But it's scheduled to go, like I said, between 9 and 4. Now, they got lunch coming up within, I'd say, I'm guessing noon, and that's going to be an hour and a half. So she might call me, check up on things. Um, yeah, but no, it's my dog. She's fine. She's sleeping right next to me. But like I said, between now, but like I said, between noon and 1:30, according to what I understand, I might get a phone call from her. Now, like I said, the event is between 9 and 4, and what I and if I'm calculating it right, because they do like to kind of discuss and talk about a few things even after they get out, before they go and enter their cars and um, and go home. But if what I'm reading is correct, she should be back in the Livermore area by at least 5:30 at the earliest. Again, traffic depending. Like I said, traffic depending. She should be back in the Livermore area by then. And then again, traffic depending, she should be back in our area, mostly like Patterson and all that, by at least I would say 6:25, 6:30. Again, traffic depending. And then after that, she should be home by at least 7 at the earliest. So I've got the place to myself for the next well, now it's 10 o'clock. It's 10 a.m. So 7 to 7 is 12, 8 to 11 is I mean, 8 to 7 is 11. 9 to 7 is 10. So I got the place to myself for another 9 hours. So it's not too bad. Not too bad at all. And hopefully I do plan to get the CAWCPV out before then. Because, that way I won't have no interruptions or anything at night when I do it. Anyway, though, yeah, I wanted to come on here and first of all, I wanted to start this out with a bit of a vlog. I guess you could consider that where I kind of updated you on what's going on and why I, as you can hear, have the door to myself. I mean, have the door open, have the place to myself. Usually this isn't the case sometimes because, because most times, like on Saturdays, I'm going to be here with my mom, but most of the time at this time frame, I wouldn't be really able to do a live stream or anything like that due to the fact that, well, I'll put it this way. My mom's up at this time and she's kind of drinking her coffee like what I'm doing right now and reading her Bible and just, catching up on what's going on because it's a weekend. The benefit for me when it comes to this, though, is over the next 2 weeks, sorry for the lag there. I'll probably be doing TGIF Friday editions of this Topics on My Mind deal that I've been doing again. I've been bringing back lately more in a live stream kind of capacity over the next 2 Fridays because according to my work schedule, I am off on those next 2 Fridays. So I will have 2 3-day weekends in a row starting this upcoming Friday. So I'll be able to do a live stream of Topics on My Mind a day early if I can. Now getting on to the vlog part before we get to the topics part. To say that it's been kind of unusual lately would be an understatement at my job. Recently, the store manager that I got along with, everybody got along with recently, ended up transferring or being sent to another store in Manteca. So he's in Manteca now, and he made one last appearance over at our store this past, not yesterday, but a week ago yesterday, to pick up a few more things and kind of just, I think, give one last run at the store, kind of give like his one last, take charge kind of approach to it. But the new store manager we got, I don't know what it is, but even before I finally formally met her, which was a couple days ago, I don't know what it is about her, but the new store manager, and she's coming from Tracy, which is ironic because I have a cousin that lives in Tracy that has the exact same name as our new store manager. Now they're not one and the same. They are not one and the same. I will say that. But basically, it's ironic because she has, like I say, the same name as my cousin. So yeah, it's kind of funny, and that's my dog. But like I said, it's kind of funny that she has the same name as my cousin, and she comes from Tracy. But like I said, even before I formally met her, I just had this good feeling, these good vibes about her. And when she finally introduced herself to a lot of the staff during a daily morning store meeting, one of the things I think I caught her saying was she's willing to listen to what people have to say. She's willing to communicate. She's willing to listen. So that's good. She's willing to listen to what people have to say, maybe take the suggestions seriously, but it's good you got someone that's willing to hear you out about certain things, and I'm happy about that. I really am. And excuse me for a moment. And that was my dog. She's fine. Be right back. Sorry about that, folks. Had to give my dog a snack there. Kind of keeps her busy a little bit. Um, anyway, though, get straight a little bit. Anyway, though, yeah, it's nice to know that we have a manager that's willing to. I mean, not saying that the previous manager didn't, previous store manager didn't listen to what we had to say. But at least it's nice to know she's willing to, discuss things with her employees and see what's going on, because some of the things I wanted to talk to her about really are stuff that, even though it's not my job title anymore officially, I mean, I'm more cashier and if not everyman, if you will, at the store. But to me, it kind of really bugs me because, like I said, even though it's not my official title anymore or my official main job anymore, except when they need me to go out and push cards and do this and that. Um, what what really gets to me is we need to, how do I put this? We need to basically put a rule or put something into place for these electric mart carts. Now, if you guys have been in retail stores and malls, wherever, you know what I'm talking about. These electric carts that have been around for quite some time, there's no doubt about that, are probably the best way for the elderly, the disabled, you know, and people with injuries that can't really walk on their feet that much or can't really, do certain activities walking all the time. These mart carts, these electric carts help people out. And what's really bugged me over the past, I don't know why it really bugs me, but it seems that when people need them, they're not always there. We don't have the enough electric carts there for people to use. We used to have basically at one point six electric carts. Now we only have 5, if not 4. And that's not just annoying for us as employees because we have customers asking us to go and see if we have any electric carts left. But it's annoying for the customers because it's like now they got to just sit back and wait, or they got to slowly, if carefully, use a regular cart just to walk around, just to keep the balance or whatever. And some of these elderly people are nice people, but particularly folks, they're not too thrilled sometimes when all the electric carts are in use, especially if you have young kids riding around the electric carts, either in the parking lot or in the store, just for fun, or they're just too lazy to walk. What? Because they spent 7 hours, 8 hours in school? That's no excuse. These things These electric carts, folks, are not toys. These are meant to help people out. These are not toys. And I don't know why kids tend to think that. There's even a report because, like I said, we used to have 6 electric carts. So there's a report going around that one of our carts got drove all the way down Sperry Avenue in Las Palmas. Basically, I ride the bus. So when they said exactly where it was at, when it went down Sperry and Las Palmas, basically down that direction, that's basically going past the McDonald's, the Walgreens, the being built in progress Burger King that's going to be right next to it, going past the Mountain Ike's, the AT&T authorized dealer building, you name it. Somebody reported that it was driven all the way down there, down that road, and then down Las Palmas, which is really, really unexcusable because, one, an elderly person, we know, I'm not saying they wouldn't, but no doubt an elderly person would never do that. An elderly person has, well, not truthfully, but most of the elderly people I've met at my store that come in and shop have more respect than that. They have more respect than that to take an electric cart and ride it all the way down to down the road. My suspicion, and this has happened because this has happened before, my suspicion is it's young kids. Again, these young kids tend to think these electric carts are toys, things to play with. They're not. These young kids, teenagers, adolescents, they need to realize what you're doing is you're stealing something that's not yours. And sooner or later, what's going to happen is karma is going to come back and bite you because the cops, they're going to get reports, the police, the sheriffs, whatever, the sheriffs mainly in Patterson, the police, they're going to get reports of what you guys are doing, and they're going to follow you, and they're going to make sure you return that thing back to the store. I mean, it's no wonder in the past year or so that basically we've had the Patterson Unified School District send out staff members, security staff members, obviously, and have them ride around in go-karts or golf carts or whatever you call them to make sure kids are not causing trouble. I've seen Patterson High School ones, Creek Middle School ones, Del Porto High School ones, Walnut Grove. I've seen a lot of these security staff coming around and patrolling the area in these golf carts or go-karts to make sure these kids don't cause any freaking trouble. Because basically, let me give you the gist of what happens. And this is not just from what I've seen, but from what other people in my store said. Kids will come in there and they will turn my job my job, the store I work in, they will turn it, it'll basically go in their eyes from Walmart to Wall Mall. It basically becomes a mall to them. And they just walk around doing whatever they want. Some don't cause trouble, thank God. But those that do, it may not be like, oh, we'll get out of the store kind of deal because you're causing trouble. No, it's basically the fact that, and that's my dog, she's scratching herself under my chair, it makes it feel better. But anyway, it's not just because of that. It's not, like I said, it's not the kind of trouble where they come out and say, oh, where you have somebody say, get out of the store, you're causing trouble. The trouble I'm talking about, and people have talked about, my fellow workers have talked about, is they'll go into the store, they'll go into the bakery aisle, they'll grab a roll, one of the 50-cent rolls that we have, or 25-cent rolls we have, 50 cents at least, or 33 cents, I should say. They'll take a bite out of it, a few bites, and they'll leave it on the shelf. They'll do the same thing when it comes to when it comes to a Coca-Cola bottle that you buy, or a Pepsi bottle, or a Mountain Dew, or a Monster, or a Red Bull, or one of those new Bang drinks that are out that are supposed to be good, or what have you. They will drink it, and then they won't drink it all the way, and they'll just leave it, or have what they didn't finish on the shelf and leave. And again, it's they're not causing the kind of trouble where they get tossed out. It's basically they're causing the kind of trouble that costs the store money. I mean, think about it this way. Think about your job, whatever job you may have, whether it's in retail or it's, let's say, a restaurant or fast food. Okay? Let's say several kids get out early because the school's let out early. Let's say they go into, let's say, your restaurant, your fast food place, like a McDonald's. Let's say you work at McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's or whatever. And they say, oh, can we get a cup of water? Okay, here you go. But then they notice you're kind of busy. What do instead of getting a cup of water? They get a cup of soda. And then they leave. Basically, they trick you into giving them a free soda. Instead of paying what? $1 at McDonald's for it? Seriously. They trick you into giving them a free soda by asking for a cup of water. That's what they do. That's what they do. They trick you into giving them a cup of water. They trick you into giving them a free cup of soda by asking for a cup of water, and that's not good. And they usually wait to get that soda when you're not noticing. And the same could be said if you work at a restaurant. We know kids will go in there and want to get a bit of a lunch or whatever. And what do? What do? They can say, oh, I'll just take water right now and have an appetizer and then go, right? What do they do when they notice you guys are busy, either waiting on tables or not? They go to the fountain if it's allowing them to have free drinks, if you pay for a meal. And what do? They get free, and they get soda instead of water. That's what they do. But they usually wait until you're busy. That's the whole situation. Kids, they may not mean to cause major trouble, but the kind of trouble they do, in a sense, costs the job you work at money. May not be major money, but it costs you money because they're basically taking advantage of something or getting something for free when they shouldn't. Now, I'm not saying, you shouldn't get. Now, I'm not saying that if you're given the opportunity to get something for free and it's legit, you shouldn't take that chance. Hey, if it's legit, nothing's wrong, and it's free, go for it. But I'm not saying that should be for a lot of things, if you know what I'm talking about. Like I said, it's not for a lot of things, if you know what I'm talking about. Point is, these kids may not mean to cause certain trouble, but the kind of trouble, like I say, they do cause, basically does, in a sense, cost whatever job you work at, where they hang out at after school, a bit of money. But it's not the kind of trouble that, like I mentioned earlier, where these kids will go out and they will take a mart cart or electric cart and they will drive it off the property. There's one, and again, the reason I say it, again, the reason I say kids may have been responsible for taking one of our electric carts and driving it so far away from the property to where they left it where it stands, and basically we got to go pick it up down the line if it's still there, is because they don't care. They don't have respect. And the reason a lot of people suspect it could be kids is because the last time it happened, kids were involved. I remember reading on the Patterson Facebook page. I remember reading on the Patterson Facebook page that one of my fellow workers had to chase some kids down. Well, it wasn't just chasing them down, but he wasn't chasing them down. He was yelling at them saying, "Hey, bring that back. What are you doing?" And they showed him nothing but disrespect by yelling at him, yelling back at him, and throwing stuff at him. It's like, why? It's like, what's wrong with kids today? Hold on for a second. Be right back. Sorry about that. Like I said, I had to give my dog a little bit of a little bit of a snack there. But anyway, like I said, it, it's just like I said, kids don't really mean to cause much trouble. But when you have kids doing that, that's not just trouble, but that's disrespect. What they're doing by taking a mark cart and not letting anybody know, or not showing any respect towards to people that are older than them, and stuff. It's like, or even those that go out that work there that try to tell them, hey, don't do that. They don't show respect. I mean, I can recall recently, several weeks ago, about a month ago, I was standing side by side with one of the CSMs, and he saw two kids eyeing in the parking lot. It looked like they were eyeing an electric cart, and he says, "Don't even think." And he yelled, and he kind of called out to them, "Don't even think about it." And I remember one time helping out with carts, that I saw some kids just riding around the electric cart outside, just riding around in circles. They didn't take it off the property, but they rode it around. And what I'm trying to get at here is, something has to be done, not just at my store, but at all retail stores out there, or even malls. Something has to be done. And what needs to be done, I believe, is they need to either put these electric carts in storage or chain them up. And what I mean by chain them up, I'm talking about the fact that chain them up so that when they need to be used, the CSMs or assistant managers, whoever has a key, can come out and unlock them for whoever legitimately needs them to use them. It makes sense to do that. It makes sense, in my opinion, to do that because, like I said, we have had several senior citizens, elderly, that have not been too thrilled that the electric carts were out of electric carts when they need them. And sometimes it is due to the fact that, well, yeah, I do agree, Wild Hops. They do need some discipline. And like I said, it's like, and sometimes it's not just, the kids that take advantage of those electric carts. Sometimes, and I don't mean this with any disrespect, God knows I don't, but but we do have, and I've mentioned this before, we do have an elderly person that comes around 2 or 3. Everybody at my store knows who he is. And basically what he does when he gets there between, I would say earliest being 2:30, is he'll take an electric cart if it's available and he'll ride it around for the next several hours. And I'm not just talking 1 hour or 2 hours. I'm talking legitimately. Here's the thing. My schedule has me working between 8:30 and 5:30. I have, I think, 2 days upcoming in the next week or so where I work, not in a row, but individually, 8:30 to 5:30. But point is, this guy, and God knows I don't mean any disrespect by this, he'll ride around in this electric cart for 3 to 4 hours, almost. Heck, I've even had fellow associates tell me that they've seen him be on that electric cart for almost 8 hours. 8 hours, if you can believe that. And all he'll do is just sit on it either outside, because this is basically his routine. He'll grab it, he'll ride it around the store, all throughout the store. I'm not sure if it's all throughout, but certain parts of the store. He'll ride it all around. He'll ride it to the outside, park it in a certain area, probably have a smoke while he's still sitting on it, bring it back inside, ride it, then ride it again a little bit outside before coming back inside, and then riding it around again, rinse and repeat. And like I said, everybody at my job knows who this elderly guy is, and everybody's guessing why he's doing it. They're not too sure. Either he's lonely or maybe mentally there's something, kind of wrong upstairs. God, I don't mean any disrespect for that, Lord. Lord, I don't mean any disrespect, God. Please forgive me. In your name I pray, amen. But like I said, nobody knows what the deal is. It could be, like I say, a mental issue. It could be he's lonely. It could be the fact that he has Alzheimer's, which is a medical issue. And he thinks maybe he's driving around in his car. We don't know. And God, again, I don't mean any disrespect. But again, we don't know. But there are a lot of folks, fellow elderly, senior people, that are not too happy sometimes when this happens. Even family members that have to get an electric cart for the family member are not too happy. They're not too thrilled. because of the fact that when anybody, even my CSMs, try to go up and approach him and to see if they can borrow this for somebody else, he rarely lets go of it. I mean, according to what I understand, there have been maybe a few times, very few times, that he's done this, but most of the time, he just rides it around. He doesn't care. You could suggest to him, he doesn't care. And one of the newest CSMs we have, a couple of days ago, found this out firsthand. Because he tried to get the electric cart away from this senior citizen, and he couldn't. I even mentioned to him, I said, "Yep, you see, you met the guy that doesn't give it up," and he says, "Yeah," and he's still riding it. It's again, we don't know what it is, but I could definitely recall several months ago, one of our regular senior citizen shoppers. She's a nice lady when you get to know her. Nice, friendly, very controversial lady. But she came in at a time this guy was already on a cart, and she was not happy because she, along with somebody else, tried to talk him into letting her use it. He wouldn't listen. So yeah, I think what needs to be done, and I don't mean to say any of this with disrespect, but I think what needs to be done, obviously, is they need to chain these electric carts up so that those that really need them, not really need them to shop around and get their shopping done, can use them, and not those and not be used just to ride around because, you're a young kid and you're bored, and you just want to ride around like it's your motorcycle or it's your new car, like boom, boom, boom. No. Or you're doing it because you have an unknown reason, like maybe you're lonely, or maybe you have a condition, a mental condition. We don't know. And again, God, I don't mean any disrespect by that. But it's just kind of weird when you think about it. And I think this needs to be addressed. Again, not just at my store, but at every retail store and mall outlet in the country. This needs to be addressed. Because sooner or later, retail stores, mall outlets, malls in general, won't have electric carts anymore unless somebody does something. But yeah, that's just something that, and I know I took a while talking about that, which kind of shows you that even though, like I said, pushing carts isn't my primary job anymore, it's become more like a secondary job. It still kind of bugs me because, we're supposed to put the customers first, and I'm trying to follow that adjective, especially if I'm assigned to do a job. I want to make sure that job is done right, and I want to make sure that whatever I'm responsible when doing that job is taken care of. And that includes making sure we have enough electric carts, ready to go, basically brought in from the outside, ready to go for those that really need them. But yeah, it's just been weird these past several weeks. I will say that. Well, not weird. It's just been kind of unusual, I mean, yesterday we find out at my job that we have someone constantly coming in, and we pretty much have an idea of who it is. And they're trying to do things, and I don't know if he's been caught now, because one of my CSMs says, "Hey, we know who they are. We're going to catch them the next time." So we don't know. We don't. I don't know who it was or what they were doing or what they got. But yeah, it's just it just bugs us that, but not just me, but a lot of folks at my job. It just really bugs us that you have people coming in and they and they sneak around and they take things and they steal things, all because of why? What? Because they need extra money, or they want something so bad they don't want to pay for it? I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, don't. So what I'm trying. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people that work at their jobs that they will take things too, but they don't take them. You know, sneak them out of the store. They don't do that. Some do, yes, but there are some that will take something, but they'll leave it behind, and they'll leave a note with it. And when they leave a note with it, they're basically saying, hey, this needs to be accounted for. A good example is when the cart pushers, and I know this from experience, have to get a case of water or a case of Gatorade and some ice. And what we do is we have it cashed out. So, when, let's say folks are getting tired to the point that they need something to prep them up, and they might be watching the door or whatever, they'll quickly get a Red Bull if they have to and down it. An 8-ounce Red Bull and down it, an 8-ounce Monster and down it, just so they can have the energy to be prepped back up. But what they'll do, and I will say I've done this before. I'm not going to deny it. They will address what happened, what they did, by writing down the UPC number, sticking it into a money bag, which is always at a register, an empty money bag, that is, or they'll stick it into the register when they get an opportunity, or if the register has like a little slide-in area, which you can slide into coupons and stuff. Sorry, my hand hit the mic there. And that way they know, hey, you need to cash this out because it was borrowed or whatever. So again, I'm not denying that I've never done something like that, and I know other folks around this country that work in similar job titles like I do haven't done that. It's just that the difference is we tend to take responsibility by saying, hey, here's our note, by leaving some kind of note of some kind with the UPC number saying, here's what we borrowed to drink or to sanitize our hands with. And, we just letting you know. So you can cash that out. You can, take that as a cash out. You know what I'm saying? Or you know what I'm saying? So, at least we try to take responsibility in that manner. Speaking of responsibility, I will say this. Yeah, I will say that. I will say this. I will say this. What was this? And I just lost what I was going to say. Just had it. Oh yeah, it's like, at least we take responsibility for, what we do, for our actions. But like I said, talking like, oh yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. It just came to me. I was just reading some comments in the live stream. Talk about taking responsibility. Today, or not today, but a couple of days ago, because I will say this about this week at work. It's been one of those weeks that's been extremely busy and extremely unpredictable and unusual. Mainly the reason I say this is because for 4 days out of this week, 4 days, a lot of our CSMs have had to go take a training. A lot of our CSMs have had to join fellow CSMs at another store, and they had to take a training on self-checkout. Basically, it's basically the training was more of a, more of a refresher course. If you know what I mean. It was more of a refresher course. And it's checking some there. But it was more of a refresher course, so they ended up doing that. They ended up taking a refresher course where basically they had to relearn what they already knew so they could pass it on to the fellow associates. And one of the things that they did learn, I think that was kind of new or a bit of a refresher, is anytime they assign a cashier to self-checkout or to watch the doors, that cashier has to change vest. So traditionally, this is my vest right here. This is mine. So when I get to work, if I get assigned to do self-checkout, I have to change out of that and into a yellow vest. Sometimes I'll be fortunate enough to get a vest that kind of fits, but sometimes I'll get one that does fit, but it's a bit snug, or that does fit, but it feels like I'm swimming in it. No offense when I say that. So, like I said, no offense when I say that, but it feels like I'm swimming in it sometimes. So, yeah, basically, that's kind of a new or refresh or revitalized rule change. And I guess it's to differentiate the fact of how important. Sorry about that. But to differentiate the fact of how important that role is. Because if they see everybody in the same colored outfit, it's going to be like, okay, that job's not important, but it is. So, and the reason I say it's been kind of weird is, and unusual, is like I said, for 4 days you've had CSMs doing this. So throughout those 4 days, you would have CSMs alternating. Sometimes you'd only have 1 or 2 CSMs. Sometimes you'd just have 1, for the time that you're there. And then they'd have to call upon a support manager or an assistant manager to take over for them when they would leave. It's been that kind of a schedule. Like I said, it's been that kind of a schedule. So fortunately, got through this week. Fortunately, thank God I got through this week. And just looking forward to next week. Because, like I said, next week and the week that follows, I'm only going to be working 4 days, but I'll be working more hours in a sense. It's like because they're giving me 2 Fridays in a row off, they're going to have me work, more hours in a sense to make up for that. And one last thing before I finally get to the topics, and I do apologize for taking so long to get there to the topics portion. I do apologize for that. Um, the best part too about this, and I took a chance on this. I'm thinking, well, I'll try for it, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Because I did it last year, and I don't know, maybe if I could, and I don't know, maybe it's because I chose a different option that it backfired on me. But this time it didn't. Because what I did is I went to request Thanksgiving off. And I'm thinking, okay, I'll go to this area that they showed us to go to when you're requesting time off to see if I'll get it. So I asked for it off. I asked for it off, and I'm thinking, well, I probably won't get it because it's Thanksgiving, and they usually start Black Friday on Thanksgiving night. Well, I'm thinking, okay, I probably won't get it. So I go to double check yesterday or the other day, and I find out that as of right now things could change. They could change, but as of right now, I've been approved to have that day off. I've been approved to have Thanksgiving Day off. And usually that's hard to do. But I think what I did this time, which was a correction over last time, was instead of choosing holiday, I choose sick pay, which they do recommend you use. If you have a lot of sick pay or sick leave on you, they recommend you use that instead of holiday because that's more accumulated than anything else. So I'll still get paid for Thanksgiving, but I won't, but I'll be off that day. Now, again, like I said, that's as of right now. Things could change. That's right. Things could change. And what I mean by that is my assistant manager who could look over the schedule could be like, well, wait a minute. Why is these people off? We don't need them off. We need them working. That could, he could end up changing things. He can end up basically saying, okay, we need Brian on this night because it's the beginning of Black Friday. They could end up doing that. If somebody else gets Thanksgiving off, they could say, oh, no, 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 we need that person here. They could do that. The point is, as of right now, like I said, unless things change, I have Thanksgiving off. So thank God for that. What that means is, depending on what the outcome is going to be as to where Thanksgiving with my family is going to take place, I will be there at least to help out. There's rumors it could be here at my house. There's discussion of that. There's discussion it could be at my second oldest sister's house because it could be her last, Thanksgiving in Modesto with her family before they move. It could be a lot of things. We don't know. But that's basically a little over a month from now. A little over a month, but it's going to happen. But it will indeed happen. But yeah, as of right now, and I'm guessing because I asked for it about a week ago. A week ago, I did this. I asked for it. I'm guessing I had enough time to do it because if I do remember right, you have a certain time limit before they shut off any opportunity you would have. In other words, I think around October, if you're thinking of trying to ask for Thanksgiving and Black Friday off, forget it. It ain't going to happen. So even if I have to work the actual Black Friday, that's not a problem for me. I've done that before. And it's better that and here's the thing. It's better that I ask for the day and get it off instead of just taking it off and calling in sick. Thank God for the inclusion and insertion of paid time off, PTO. Thank God for that. But like I said, things could change. Now, finally, we're going to get to the topics portion of this video, I know it's 10:50 a.m. Pacific time, so I do apologize for the length of getting to that. So let's talk about a few topics here, shall we? Let's talk about a few topics. First of all, let's talk about what Comic Book Cast 2 reported yesterday. I was watching this on my phone during a break or during lunch. I think it was during lunch or something. I can't remember. It was during one of my breaks, one of my 3 breaks. One of my 15 minutes and of course my lunch. But anyway, yesterday I was watching this, and apparently Dark Phoenix, which was scheduled for February Valentine's Day 2019 release, has been pushed back to June 2019 due to the fact that they are constantly doing reshoots. Now, what they showed in the trailer, we're probably still going to get, but they're constantly reshooting a majority of the film. This has been brought up several times. And according to what they said in this report, there could be a reason as to why they're delaying this. One, February is somewhat of a dead month. You know, you could put out a blockbuster then, and it could do great numbers, but not a lot of people are going to see it. But if you put it out at the time that, according to what they're looking at, is in between several big projects, you know, Captain Marvel in February, which, you know, you would think they'd want to piggyback off that. Or even if, you know, the second Infinity War movie, whichever it'll be called for the Avengers, you know, this here kind of tells you that Fox is in a bit of a bind. You see, they know that right now, and there is reports going around that this legitimately could be the last X-Men film under the Fox banner before the X-Men get integrated into the MCU. And from what reports are saying, Kevin Feige and those involved plan to treat the X-Men with a little bit more respect when it comes to the MCU debuts. In other words, make it more true to the source. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do here, but apparently the delays are because they're trying to reshoot scenes, maybe add in scenes, because there are reports. There was a rumor. As they reported here, Comic Book Cast 2, that is, as Comic Book Cast 2 reported, there were plans to make it a two-parter, but since this might be the last X-Men film under the Fox banner before it gets integrated into the Disney Marvel perspectives or Disney Marvel world, that if this is the last X-Men film under the Fox banner as it is, then they're going to go all out. They're going to say, you know what was originally planned as a two-parter, let's just put it all together as one and see what happens. So yeah, for them to be delayed again, especially if this is the last one under the Fox banner as we know it, that's not a good sign. And all I could say is whatever they have planned for the future when it comes to the X-Men films, especially since they'll be under the MCU, hopefully they won't have to deal with any reshoots. I mean, we know that Avengers 4 is reshooting. It's reshooting some scenes to kind of change things up a little bit because of, I guess, certain things happening behind the scenes. But at least those reshoots are not as bad as what we're getting with Dark Phoenix. So yeah, hopefully these reshoots they're doing will be the last reshoots they have to do, because you know it's not a good sign if you're going to do that. It's not a good sign if you have to keep constantly reshooting because because of this and that. So hopefully it works out in the end, and maybe it's a bit, and as some people put it, it probably is a better idea for it to come out during the time that it will now because because you have more of an audience that will go and see it, especially if they want to continue seeing that comic book trend of blockbuster films during the summer continue. Now, let's talk about the Bumblebee movie. As you saw in my reaction video, I am stoked for this, just like everybody else, because this, despite the fact that Bee's design is a hybrid of what you've seen in the Michael Bay films and what we know as G1B, this movie, the Bumblebee movie, is what G1 fans, have been asking for since almost the beginning. A great. Hold on for a second. There we go. I had to shut my window because the neighbors are apparently doing some work over there, and the smell of whatever they're doing is coming in here. But like I said, fans have been asking for this almost since the beginning because this is basically a true representation of what Transformers is. I mean, like I said in the reaction video, and everybody else from Angry Joe to Black Nerd Comedy, Andre Meadows, and many others, have all said the same thing. Comic Book Cast 2 has all said the same thing. Travis Knight is a diehard Transformers fan, so he knows what can work. And Michael Bay, I will agree with Comic Book Cast 2, was wrong about the fact that the designs we knew as blocky, or as he called blocky, when it came to the Transformers designs, they obviously are working. And he said they wouldn't, but guess what? They are. And yeah, I think Michael Bay has a lot of crow to eat right now, if you know what I'm saying. But this, to me, is what we need. This is perfect. This is perfect for, well, not perfect, but it's basically, this is the perfect blend of, you want to do it, you want to keep it one way that's recognizable to people that saw it in the theater, that have been seeing these movies in the theaters, but you also want to pay homage to where it all began. And a lot of fans like myself are appreciative of that. We really are. And if this is a hint of things to come in the future, especially if they're planning to do a new animated movie Transformers, then they're off to a great start. They really are. So, yeah, really, really appreciative of what they're doing with Bumblebee, with this Bumblebee movie, because again, like I said, this is what fans have been waiting for. G1 fans like myself that grew up with G1 from 1984 to now have been waiting for a long time. And honestly, I don't think it's going to disappoint. I really don't. So we'll have to wait and see what they do. But like I said, if I have to take that Friday off when it comes out, hopefully I don't have to, because maybe I'll go see it that weekend with my family. But if I have to take a day off myself to go see it, I'll go see it by myself. So yeah, I cannot wait to see this, and it definitely looks like parts of it is going to be a great love letter to the fans. All right, next thing I want to talk about, I watched most of this yesterday, and I think he did this a couple days ago. But the mysterious Mr. Enter recently did a video about his online harassment. But basically, and I listened to what Mr. Enter said, and he's right about a few things. Not a few things, but I shouldn't say a few, but he's right about a lot of things. And I'm glad someone. Excuse me for a second. There's a phone. Sorry about that. We obviously got the wrong number or something. But like I was saying, everything that a lot of what Mr. Enter said, I do agree with. And I'm glad someone like the mysterious Mr. Enter has come out and talked about this, because he's right. This has to stop. This has to stop. This online harassment, these trolls, these cyberbullies, whatever you call them, they have to stop being the way they are. And I think Mr. Enter said it best, because even I've pointed it out. A lot of these trolls, it seems, are nothing more than young kids that think it's cool to want to troll people, to really get on their nerves, to kind of call them out. Heck, I did a live stream here about several days ago, about a week ago, and someone was in the chat just saying things like, sit on my face, sit on my face, basically trollish comments that I removed. And it's like, why are you doing this? Are you bored? I mean, I said it before and I'll say it again. I'm sure Mr. Enter will agree. If this generation of adolescents, pre-teens or whatever, kids, think that people like us talking about various topics from animation, pro wrestling, MLP, FIM, Sonic Sat AM, Transformers, if they think that's uncool, then why are they watching the video? Why are they even bugging with us? I mean, as I've said before, what do they expect us to do? What do they expect YouTube to do? What do they expect YouTube to do? For them to come out and say, hey, you guys, hey, you young adolescent teens, the ones that like to troll people and be cyberbullies, guess what? We're going to satisfy your thirst. Here's some lesbian action. Sexual, XXX rated lesbian action. Whoopee! Is that what they want? Do they want YouTube to cave in to what they want and say, give us all this, yay! And them going like, yay! Is that what they want? Is that what they want? Is that why they're trolling us? Because we're not giving them what they want, or YouTube's not giving them what they want? That's not going to work. All it's going to do is come back to bite you. And that's one thing Mr. Enter said that I do agree with. Karma is going to be a you-know-what. And they need to wake up and realize that. They need to wake up and realize that. I mean, look, I get it. Like I've said before, and a lot of people will agree, when we all grew up as adolescents and teens and kids, sometimes the things we saw our parents do, or our aunts and uncles do, or we saw on television certain people talking about and doing, sure, we'd find that uncool. We'd look at that and go like, man, that ain't cool. That ain't the way to go. Or that ain't legit. That ain't boss. I mean, okay, not a lot of us acted that way, but you kind of get the point. A lot of us acted very identifiable. But here's the thing. At the time, we didn't have things like Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or Dailymotion or Instagram or Snapchat or any of that. We would just go to school and discuss how boring or uncool this and that was. All because we didn't have an appreciation or respect. And that's what a lot of these young kids, these adolescents that obviously are the cyberbullies, obviously are the trolls, from my opinion, and from what it sounds like, with all due respect, Mr. Enter's opinion, this is how they are. They have no respect right now because they don't understand why people like this. And if you want a good example with me recently involving my family, my mom ends up getting a message from somebody on Facebook talking about me liking My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, talking about this and that, and oh, he likes to look at the pony butts, and she asked me, she comes into my room and she asked me, Brian, do you know who this person is? I said, no, I don't. And she said, what do I do? I said, just delete him and block him. And when she blocked and deleted him, I haven't heard anything since. So it shows you how bored kids are, adolescents are, because they don't understand. And when you have even people going after your family like that and mentioning that and saying, oh, he likes to look at pony butts and all that, that tells you that that's a kid, an adolescent teen that thinks it's uncool to like certain things. And like I said, what do they want YouTube to do? What do they want Facebook to do? What do they want Twitter to do? They wanted to push out all this, certain content that they want that's going to satisfy them, make them happy, be like, ooh, goody. Look, if that's what you want, here's a little suggestion. Why don't you email all these social media sites and see what happens? And you know what the response is you're going to get? Oh, you want this? Oh, you're asking us for this? And you'll stop doing that? Because you'll stop doing that if we give you this? Guess what? That's going to be the answer. They ain't going to give it to you. They are not going to give it to you because of the fact that they know all they'll be doing is caving into your demands. And in this case, they're caving into demands that make no sense, that are childish. Some people look at me and maybe look at Mr. Enter and Angry Joe and Doug Walker and James Wolfe and Animat, Matt Burnett, and Bennett the Sage and Huey Toonmore, you name it. Rob Thomas, Bob Show, if you will, Rob the Wonderful. They'll look at us and they'll be like Linkara, Vega, they'll look at us and be like, why? And even Rowdy C, I forget, I don't want to leave him out. But they'll all look at us and be like, why are you guys doing this? This is childish. It's stupid. It's uncool. And look, you have a right to your opinion, but don't be disrespectful. Just in a respectful, mature manner, come out and explain why you don't think what we're doing is cool. Just go like, I respect what you're doing, but come on, you're you're this certain age. You shouldn't really be talking about that. What you should be talking about is this, because that's more for your age instead of this. Try to be more respectful and reasonable in what you say. And not like, oh, it's uncool. And then go as far as to say, to bring family into it, because that's not right. And like I said, when you do that, and obviously when they read it and you hear what that person had to say, it's a kid. It's a kid, and it's stupid. It's really stupid and pathetic. And yeah, immature. I mean, they're an adolescent. Like my mom would say, the brains are not fully developed yet. And she's a teacher, so she knows that. She has a good idea. She's taking classes at Las Positas College in Livermore. She has a good idea of what she's talking about. So yeah, I do agree with most of what Mr. Enter has said, what most of a lot of people have said. Even Animat came out doing one of his recent Q&As and mentioned this. Well, kind of talked about this a little bit. So we get the idea. So the thing is, we get that not a lot of people, mostly young folks, this new generation of kids and adolescents and teens and whatever, may not find what we're doing and discussing, through various topics to be cool, because it's not what they want to hear. I mean, I guarantee you, if a lot of us said, you know what? Fortnite's the latest craze. Let's dedicate our channel to Fortnite. And go like, here's how you play Fortnite. It's so cool. I bet you, if we were to do that 24/7, we wouldn't get, you know, we wouldn't probably have a lot of trolls because we'd be talking about something that's hip and cool with them. But you know what? It's not up to them to decide what we do. It's up to us. So, but yeah, I do appreciate it. So I will say this to close out this subject. I appreciate what Mr. Enter had to say. I respect what he had to say. I respect what Animat has had to say about it. And hopefully word gets out about this because this does need to stop. This needs to stop. These trolls, these cyber bullies, they need to be exposed as possibly, if not a majority of them what I'm trying to say is these trolls, these cyber bullies, the time has come that they need to be exposed as being the young adolescent teens and kids they are. And the way you figure this out and the way people on YouTube figure this out and social media figure this out overall is by looking at how certain things are worded. Once you see how it's worded, you get the word out, and I guarantee you once that word is out, they will find out eventually who these people are. And if majority of them are exactly who we believe they to be, that being adolescent kids and teens, hopefully the parents will get informed, and the parents will be like, oh no, you're not going on the computer anymore unless you're doing homework. And if the kid goes like, well, why not? And they said, because all you're doing is bullying people, and that's not right. So hopefully the word gets out. Hopefully any parents watching this live stream who have also watched what Mr. Enter has said and Animat and everybody else has had to say, hopefully they're listening to this and they're realizing, maybe I should keep an eye on what my kid is doing when it comes to being on YouTube and social media. So that's all I'm going to say, but I do appreciate what Mr. Enter had to say. And I hope, again, the word starts getting out because, like Mysterious Mr. Enter has put it, this has got to stop. Enough's enough, guys. Enough's enough. All right. In closing, let's talk about something that happened on Thursday Night Football or during Thursday Night Football, although people didn't really know it was happening until it did. Apparently, at the end of the first half of the Rams-Vikings game, and you could see this on TMZ Sports. TMZ actually reported this. There's video footage of it as well. But a brawl broke out. A fight broke out to the point that one fan got tossed down several rows of bleachers because of it. He got tossed down several rows of bleachers. Thankfully, he wasn't hurt because he was able to get back up where he got tossed to or fell down to and was able to still scream up at the person that did it. What was funny is the person that tossed him down was a fellow Rams fan. But it was a brawl that broke out between Rams and Vikings fans. And you see one woman pointing at another woman that came up from the stands, grabbed a hold of one of the Vikings fans because I guess they instigated the brawl or something. And she got pulled back by her hair like this. Just a little bit. I thought she was passed out or something. But she wasn't because you could still see her mouth moving. And then you have another Vikings fan. She's looking at the lady being held down by her hair a little bit. She's just talking smack to her, going like, yeah, you blink, blank, blink, blink, whatever. You can Google it and see what I mean. But the point is, this we're not even, what is it, 3 weeks into the season, and already we have something like this happening. And what this does is it makes not just the NFL look bad, which the NFL doesn't need to take any more jabs as it is, but it makes the fans look bad as well as it makes basically serving alcohol or any kind of alcoholic beverage at a sporting event look bad. I mean, there has been talk in the past several years of limiting, how much people drink at these events. Well, with something like this happening, guess what? This is going to make it even look worse. And what could happen inevitably is either the commissioner or even the freaking president of the USA will come out and say something about it, to the point that one day alcohol is not going to be served at these events anymore. Heck, alcohol one day may not even be allowed on the premise, the parking lots, all that anymore, if this keeps up. I mean, heck, if somebody, what it's going to get to? It's going to get to the fact that sooner or later, police are going to be asked to patrol the area during tailgating and when people are entering. And what's going to happen when they enter is they're going to probably be asked to do a breathing test, because why not? Just because, well, not why not, but because of situations like what just happened this past Thursday night, they're going to be asked to do breathing tests. And you know what's going to occur? Yeah, you'll get backlash by a lot of people going like, why do we need to take breathing tests? But what's going to happen is the police, they're going to look at how much possibly is inside that person because of that breathing test and be like, oh, no, you're not going in the game. You're too intoxicated. You're going to have to wait outside till the game's over. Or you're going to have to come with us to the police station. And the person will be like, but I'm not that bad. It says, this shows you are. So, yeah, something like this happening, especially at the end of the first quarter of the first half of the Thursday night game between the Rams and the Vikings, a game that, oh, by the way, was the first to be broadcast as part of the partnership between Fox and Thursday Night Football, Fox and the NFL Network, as well as the first to be broadcast as part of that partnership between NFL Network, the NFL, and Amazon Prime Video. So, yeah, this three-way partnership, what a way for it to make its debut together by having something like this get associated with it. That's not good. That's not good at all. So something's probably going to happen. They're probably going to get some reports, backlash on it. Maybe not. But all I could say is if this keeps up, if this keeps happening, like I said, sooner or later, it doesn't matter if it's the NFL, it doesn't matter if you're going to a WWE event, an Impact Wrestling event, doesn't matter if you're going to a UFC event, a Major League Baseball game, or an NBA game, or an NHL game, or a college game. It's not going to matter. Sooner or later, your alcoholic beverages are going to be gone. And if they're not gone, what's going to happen is you're going to have to take a breather test to see how much alcohol is in your system. And if they determine, hey, you got too much, you can't go in, then that's it. Then, yeah, stuff like this ain't going to help. And no, Wild Hops, that wasn't the phone call. It was Angels Camp. I don't know if they got the wrong number or something. So, yeah, well, I will say this. Curacao 300 or K 3000. I will say this, K 3000. You're right. We no longer live in a time where we can live and enjoy our hobbies in peace. Yeah, the nerd geek culture is no longer our culture. Yeah, I agree with that. But still, it's like, hopefully parents are going to keep an eye on what the kids are doing. But getting back on point, yeah, it's not a good sign when when you have that get associated with your debut. I mean, not saying they didn't have Thursday night games beforehand. NFL Network broadcast 3 Thursday night games before this fourth one. Yeah, so yeah, it wasn't 3 weeks in, but 4 weeks in. Well, 3.5 weeks, I'll put it that way. But yeah, that's not a good way to make your debut as part of a three-way partnership. An NFL Network with the Fox, an NFL Network, and NFL with Amazon, it's not a good way to make your debut. When you have people brawling like that. And again, just Google it. Google Rams Vikings fan brawl, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Because, like I said, TMZ reported it. But one other thing I will say about this, and it's a bit more positive. It seems Amazon, through the partnership with Fox and NFL Network and the NFL, made it possible for you to actually listen to the first all-female commentary team. Yeah, you had to go to Amazon Prime Video to listen to it, but they gave you an option to where you could switch from the standard broadcast team to an all-female broadcast team. So kudos to them on that. That's pretty cool. Kudos to them. So, yeah, like I said, hopefully there won't be. So what I'm trying to say, guys, is hopefully something will be done, but it won't be done to the point that people won't lose the alcoholic beverages. But hopefully something is done to where, this kind of situation won't happen again. Because, as I mentioned, this makes the NFL look bad, especially on a national level, when you have, not just your NFL network broadcasting a game, but you have a network like Fox, and you have a streaming service like Amazon doing it. So we'll see what happens. If nothing happens, nothing happens. But if it does, yeah, that it again, it doesn't make the NFL look good in the long run. So that's really all I have to say on this. So really, that's all I have to actually say here on this Topics on My Mind video, which also started with a bit of a vlog. So, yeah, that's really all I have to say, guys. Not really much has happened over the past, purchase-wise hasn't really happened yet. So yeah, that's all I'm going to really say. It probably will be within a few hours. I'll see what happens. But hopefully, before my mom shows up back from her conference, I will have the CPV ready and up and loaded. So, and that's my DCWA colleague, which is the DCWA CAW Women's CPV All In Extreme. So, hopefully, you guys will tune in for that. And really, that's all I have to say, guys. So, till next time, thank you all for watching. Let me check the live comments one more time. So, again, thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it. So, thank you all, guys, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And I will talk to y'all later. I am out for now. Peace out. God bless. And I'm going to take a bit of a rest before I do the CPV. So I'm out. God bless. Take care. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for watching post upload after it's already been, or post live stream after it's already been uploaded. Thank you all for watching, and I will talk to you all later. Peace out. God bless.